there's a strong chance this is better than Saigon pho. When it comes to pho, there is a huge difference between a bowl served in Saigon opposed to a bowl served in Hanoi. On my most recent trip to Hanoi, I had an unforgettable pho experience. Something I had to recreate. This is a pho experience that's hard to come by in the restaurant scene for a multitude of reasons. It pairs slow-grown pullet chicken with shiitake mushrooms and a pho broth concentrated with the flavours of pullet chicken. And of course, our famous blend of pho spices. Let's get to it. Let's put the E's in Vietnamese. To build the base of our broth, I've got some beautiful fresh cockerel crowns here. I've boiled them just to clean off the impurities so we have a nice clear broth. If you can't source these, you can substitute it with any standard chicken frames that you can get from the supermarket. But I find the crowns a little bit more, chickeny, gamier, which will give the broth a bit of a better edge. So chicken crowns in, let's get rid of that. Onion, you guys know my trick, leave the skin on, just take the bottom off. Ginger. Oh, anchovy salt, umami. About a teaspoon in a bit. If you can't get anchovy salt, just use sea salt, more sea salt, MSG or chicken bouillon powder. You can tell I don't use that often. Sea salt, rock sugar, fish sauce. Be generous. There we go. We'll add a bit now. Lovely. We'll add a bit later on as well. And our first spices. I'm going to head to the sink. We're going to top that up with about 3.5 litres of water. And we'll bring it to the boil, then let it simmer. All right, beautiful. Full of water. Let's bring that to the boil. And while we bring that to the boil, we're going to work on the poached pullet chicken. Now, the pullet chicken, it's going to be the star of the show today. If you haven't used pullet chicken before, you're missing out. This one is from Poaching and it's just gorgeous. It's beautiful, the meat is really soft, sweet, gamey, but still has that texture that Vietnamese people love. That's why we love it so much. The best way to prepare the pullet chicken is to rub a lot of salt on it. That will remove any of the debris or any excess skin that you don't want from the outside and the inside of the cavity. I've done that. I've also segmented the neck, the head, and the feet. So let's pop those into the broth. We don't want to poach that because that gets a bit tough. We want the collagen from the chicken feet in our broth. So in it goes. For the chicken itself, that's going to go straight into our pot, like so. Let's get rid of this. And now let's talk about our aromats. Awesome. Right, we've got some spring onions here, lots of natural sweetness. In you go. Beautiful. Ginger again to fight that gaminess. Sea salt. Sugar. Now, let's talk umami. Anchovy salt features again. You can use MSG if you wish. There we go. Anchovy salt. Fish sauce. Just a splash. And I'm going to cover this with some water. Okay, so that's ready to go. Bring that to the boil. I've added enough water just to cover it. Now, the poaching process itself is quite simple. Bring it to the boil, simmer, and then turn it off, cover it. Allow the residual heat to cook the rest of the chicken through about 35 minutes. And then take the chook out, pop it in some cold water, and then shred the chook. This way, we're always going to have succulent and sweet tasting chicken. I've just shredded all the chicken. It's so sweet and tasty. Can't wait to get into it, but let's put it aside. We're not quite finished yet. Alright, let that sit over there. The rest of the bones, don't waste that. Because we've still got to cook our shiitake mushrooms and giblets, let's move all these bones into the broth. Whoops, lost a passenger. That's alright, in that goes. Now that's in there, we're going to add a bit of the poaching liquid as well. There's no point wasting that poaching liquid. Because we've lost a bit of volume in our pho broth, we're going to add it back with this liquid. Whatever you do though, you are losing volume from the low simmer. Refrain from adding water. Okay, that's really going to dilute your pho broth out and demand you to use, other products like MSG to get that flavor back. We don't do that at home, maybe at the restaurants, but not here. And I like to add another pack of pho spices at this point as well and cook it for like another half an hour. You'll get more notes from the pho spices, just adding another element of flavor. That's just a little hot tip there. Beautiful, so that's good there to go. Let's move on to a component which I think is probably the most important component in this Hanoi-style pho, and it's the dried mushrooms, the dried shiitake mushrooms, and the giblets. I've got a pot here. Let's go on with some rendered chicken fat. So this is just chicken fat that I've popped into a cold pan. We'll bring that up to just before smoking point. All right, that's pretty good. Let's go on with some Thai shallots. Lovely. All right, that's so fragrant. Some ginger. Oh, good, gorgeous. Shiitake mushrooms. So these are just shiitake mushrooms that I've rehydrated overnight in the fridge and then just carved them. Wonderful. Season. Anchovy salt. Sea salt. Fish sauce. Lovely. And just saute that around until it's fragrant. Okay, that's smelling fantastic. In with our poaching liquid. Oh. If you get a little bit of the spring onions, that's okay. It's just extra flavour. No biggie. Perfect. So we'll bring that to the boil, cover, and simmer on low for about 30 minutes or until the shiitake mushrooms are soft. And then it's time to think about our giblets. But it's time for us to add in our chicken offal. I've got chicken hearts, liver, and giblets here. Now to clean them, I've just rinsed them under boiling hot water really quickly for about 30 seconds and then taken them out and rinsed them under cold. Straight in with that. So these don't take as long as the shiitake mushrooms, which is why I've added them at a later date. Perfect. That's lovely. Now, bring it back up to the boil, simmer that for 30 minutes or until the giblets are tender, then it's almost ready to plate up a bowl. We are ready to rock and roll. These giblets and mushrooms smell incredible. Look at that. Gorgeous. All right, really unctuous, really deep in flavor. So we'll let that sit there. Let's do a final taste on the broth. Oh, look at the color. Seriously. Oh, there's so much chicken flavor in there. It needs a little bit of umami. Oh, got it. Just a touch. It's pretty good. But we always wanted a bit more, remember? With Vietnamese noodle soups, if you think you've got the salt level right, or the umami levels right, you need more, okay? Once it mixes with the noodles, it will just balance out perfectly. Okay, so let's get some broth. Look at the color. I mean, that is golden. Wowee. All right, in we go. Beautiful. Be generous with the broth. There's lots of it. Now, this is something you don't get when you use standard supermarket chicken pho. When you use pullet chicken or cockerel chicken, you get pho with this beautiful golden, fatty, unctuous color. All right, let's get some of our giblets and offal. Get a bit of that fat in there too. Oh, look at that. Maybe some more mushrooms. You see how unctuous this bowl is already. Turn that off. Some chicken breast. Just there. Maybe a bit more chicken. Be generous. Come on, Duncan. There we go. Now we're talking. Garnish. Now, I don't often put a lot of lime into my pho, but when it's really unctuous like this and really creamy and rich, like if you made a Wagyu pho, let's say, you really need a lot of lime. Really generous there, okay? Taste it later and then you see how you go. Might need more. Some chilies, of course. There we go. Oh, one more. All right, and there we have it. My pho guy. Hanoi-style pho. Let's get into it, hey? Photo. First, the broth. Okay. Chicken. Get in with some noodles. That broth is just amped with umami from the mushrooms and anchovy salt and that chicken flavour. It just drives through from that pullet chicken. It's the shining light in this dish. I don't think I've had a better pho but with that much flavour at home. It's an epic chicken noodle soup that I think is in its own atmosphere. If chicken noodle soups in Vietnamese cuisine tickle your fancy, you'll have to give this recipe a whirl. And if you want to learn more about pullet chicken, I'll pop a link in the description below. But besides that, I'm out. This chicken pho is about to get devoured. You know what to do. Do yourself a favour for flavour.